Episode 2, Electric Boogaloo. We're back with the Tanooki Studio podcasts.
Hello.
It is I, Davis.
And I, Charlie. How you doing?
Good. We're doing fan-fucking-tastic right now.
Fan-fucking-tastic?
Yeah. I mean, we hung out on Saturday, though.
Yeah.
But, like, what we really only watched, like, Soul Eater, and I gave you the script.
Yeah.
And your birthday present.
That was, yes. And I gave you your early birthday present back at you.
Yeah. Your mom, and you got me, like, your same drawing tab, which is really nice.
Yeah.
So, Charlie's mom got us a tablet called The Remarkable. Mm-hmm. It's like a Kindle tablet.
Yes.
But you could write on it. So it's similar to an iPad, but with Kindle, like, when the Kindle first came out, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the same.
It came out with that sort of technology, which is really cool, in my opinion, because it's not backlit. It's like one of those old Game Boy kind of things.
Exactly, yeah.
So I was like,
your eyes won't fucking get destroyed when you're writing and drawing.
But you still have to work with light somewhere in the room, so it's fine. It's a good, like, notepad, like, in my opinion, because that's what I use it for. I wrote down, like, the entire Japanese phonetic alphabet again, as well as a couple of kanji characters.
There you go.
Yeah, but how have you been doing, though?
I've been doing good, man. Just been kind of working at this moving shop, and then I've been, like, kind of just practicing drawing on the Remarkable, seeing how that works out. It's pretty good. I mean, it's responsive. It's got a nice texture. Sponsor me.
Remarkable. Sponsor us. We'll get you those numbers.
We'll talk about gibberish for an hour, but then we'll mention you at the end at some point. But man, I've just been practicing gesture drawing. I mean, that's one of the big things that I learned from college. Is just keep practicing on that. At least a little bit every day helps. You know, like 30 minutes to an hour. That helps. Just get the general basics.
For, like, reference, though, what do you use? Do you, like, just Google pictures or go outside and, like, look at people?
What I do is... Well, that's a good one to use, but what I do is go on YouTube, and there's a site, I think it's called New Haven University, and what it is they'll have models have time poses just for life reference, and, like, it'll, like, go through multiple different poses during time segments, so, like, one pose will go for a minute, another pose will go for 2, 5, 10, and, like, you know, and there's, like, there's a whole playlist that you can go through.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, and you can look at it, and, like, you're able to, like, understand the anatomy and sort of, like, get better at, like, the pacing, how you draw, how fast you draw. Like, you're able to understand that it's, like, if it's short on time, just get the basic
sketchwork frames.
Exactly. Just get what they're doing and then put in the details later. Yeah.
I mean, that's what a lot of sketches are in the first place, is that if you really need to, like, demonstrate something on time, just a little bit of rough sketch and a little bit of detail here and there.
Exactly.
It makes sense.
Just get, like, how it would sort of look, like the frame of it, how it would basically sort of, like, kind of look like.
Yeah. I don't think I've told you this, but the lead animator for Super, I think, has a YouTube channel.
No kidding.
It's, like, Yuya Takashi on YouTube. He has, like, a bunch of tutorials, like, oh, here's how you do the Dragon Ball arms. It's, like, really interesting how he does it, because, like, it's a lot more muscles than you really would realize, like, in a normal...
Right, yeah.
In a normal arm, because, like, really in a normal arm you have, like, your bicep and your tricep, really. Mm-hmm. But in that, he has, like, your more details... bicep, tricep, and like your deltoids and your shoulder,
Yeah.
Which is really interesting to, like, actually see. Is like, oh, Dragon Ball is more of a cartoony / character channel, like, caricature sort of, like, body, while, like, in other things, sometimes anime has, like, this thing where it's like, oh, it'd be semi-realistic proportions.
Right, yeah.
But what I really think is that I use a lot of my, like, figures up there for, like, just poses, because, like, they're already posed. It's like,
exactly.
Yeah, and you can go from different angles too, so it helps out. Like, oh, okay, if they're leaning for the back, this is how it's gonna look. And, like, what you kind of do for reference is, like, the amount of work it causes. Like, you just take your little cell phone and stuff, you go set a timer and then picture yourself in whatever pose you want to. Right. So we have technology nowadays that does a lot of these things. But yeah, references.
Yeah, well, one of the things I used to do for reference when I was still in the city was whenever I would go on the train to go home, I'd always have my little notebook with me, and what I'd do is I'd look at someone who wasn't really paying attention, or someone who's asleep or something like that.
Someone in the wild.
Yeah, someone in the wild. And I would draw them. I would either draw their face or their upper body or something like that, and I just try to do, like, a quick, like, you know, sketches. The fun part was making sure that they don't see you doing it, because if they see you doing it
looks a little sus.
They'll be, like, kind of, like, freaked out, or, like, they'll try to, like, stiffen themselves up, and you really don't want them to do that. I would say the hardest kind of person to draw, or hardest, like, subject matter would be kids,
because they don't sit still.
They do not sit still. They move around constantly, and it's kind of hard to just like get them to stick where. But I think like best is some like I remember seeing one lady with a puffy jacket, and she was just kind of like had her head on her fist, and she was just kind of halfway asleep, and I did some really good work with that. And so, it's fun. It's really good to just go out into the world sometimes and just look at people in their daily life, and just kind of do quick sketches. Just get it quickly down, look up, down, and just try different things because everyone's different, and there's all shapes and sizes. So being able to just draw that so huge variety is a huge benefit to being an artist.
Yeah, I agree with you because when someone sees a camera out, people tend to act differently than they would.
Yes,
and that goes a lot for everyone, no matter who you are, because we just live in that digital age where it's like if there's a camera out, you're typically on your best behavior, and you don't really see anything behind closed doors. So like to have someone lower their guard and like be natural, and like kind of do things they would normally do, it's more interesting to see that than like a like kind of stiff human being, kind of like just making like paranoid, if you will.
Right. Yeah. And having that mask off, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because the moment you're talking to someone, even then, like in your most private moment, you show no one like your like most deepest thoughts. There's stuff like that, that you really kind of want to capture as an artist. Just really get to know a character.
It's like they're saying like people have three faces: one out in public, another one with friends, and one in private. And then you don't really see the private or usually with friends unless they're a loud bunch of people like most Americans.
Exactly.
Oof. Got him.
For anyone who didn't know what he just did, Davis did a dab.
A fat dab.
He did quite a large dab now. Though I'm appalled, I will keep going. Yeah, man. So that's what I've been pretty much practicing. Also, I've just been trying to do some general character design stuff. Like, I showed you, but there was like a whole I have a whole paper full of faces,
heads. I was like kind of creepy, but okay.
Well, just trying to get the expressions down, then add the body, then move on to maybe movement. But it's good to just draw everyone in shapes and size. Like I've always had a hard time with drawing faces. It's not really easy, especially with humanistic proportions. For me, I could do a body really easily, but a face is kind of tough because it's just there's so much to do.
Yeah, you have to choose where you want to put the detail in because there could be dimples or freckles, whatever.
The nose size, the eyes.
Yeah, eyebrows, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's things that make a human face individual is just a pain in the ass to do.
Oh my god, yeah. Although some people just get rid of the nose in a lot of cases.
They do little
exactly.
little curve,
like the one
little
piece
triangle,
exactly. Just draw a triangle, be done.
Yeah.
But the big ones are the mouth and the eyes. If you can get those right, especially the eyes, those are the big ones.
I also feel of caricatures is if you add too much detail and make it a little personal, then it's just mean.
Yeah.
Because one of my favorite animators on YouTube / Newgrounds is Flashkits, and they did the
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan and the Elon Musk parody thing. And all those are little caricatures of those personalities, because Joe Rogan is sort of even though he's 5'9", I think, he's portrayed as a very short person, while Elon Musk is twice the size as him. But the real thing that got me was watching one of the behind the scenes videos of the Game of Thrones one.
Oh yeah,
because he goes over you can't really put too much detail inside caricatures because this is what you're going to get blacklisted from Hollywood for. And I thought just overall funny.
Yeah.
From just watching that video. Because, the way they portray some of those characters is, it's mean in a way, I'll say that. Mm-hmm. But it's funny enough to the fact that you can see it, though.
Yeah. And they point out some pretty, disgusting shit sometimes, especially when it comes to, big events. But they do such a great job with, just expression and, how, they do characters. Yeah. It's so great. And I love it because, I always want to get into that sort of style where it's puppet, Rick and Morty.
Yeah, puppet animation, yeah.
Mm-hmm, yeah. It's cool.
Symbols and stuff. Libraries and libraries of just hands and hands.
Exactly. And, it's an effective, it's definitely an effective form of animation for nowadays.
Yeah, definitely for, things that, require, time crunch.
Yeah, definitely helpful. But, it's whatever. You can do whatever you want. Yeah. It's just... There's some tricks to animation you can do.
Yeah, a lot of times what I find is like Rick and Morty, if it's something like big, because there's like a lot of moments where it's like they'll be falling down something and then they'll be just doing actions. That's just them just shrinking the layer size down.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's all pre-colored and everything inside the tune and inside the puppet animation.
Mm-hmm.
It's all so like what they do is just like literally just like scale it down, and that's easier to do inside whatever program they have. Is like if After Effects or Animate. Did you know that they changed the icons for the Adobe products?
No kidding.
Yes, they did, and that's like the next topic I want to talk about is the Adobe products right now.
Uh-huh.
Because one animator called I think it's James Lee Animation on YouTube. He has this very like niche style of like skipping frame animation where it's like very crooked and like horrifying. But
yeah.
You've probably seen it somewhere online before.
Yeah, it helps. It's just something unnatural that unnerves you.
Yeah, it gets like he uses glow on his glass and the glasses to like have the white and the teeth are very prominent white.
Yes.
So like this figure is a very shadowy figure, but like he's very prominent like teeth and glasses, and who this is.
Uh-huh.
And one of the things was like the abuse that Adobe has with its customers, basically, because he points out that the prices rose like since last time, which is like probably like $70 to $80 now.
Yeah,
which is
they bleed you dry. It's pretty rough.
And there are alternatives that I think are better, but to get all one package with them, Adobe is probably the best way to go.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, they do have good stuff. It's just it's
pricey.
It's really pricey. And if you're not really 100% sure if you want to go into art, then maybe just start with Photoshop and see how it goes from there.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about that though is they allow these small little bundles to be like, okay, for $15 a month, you get just Photoshop and Camera Raw and Bridge or whatever and Lightroom. Because it's a lot of times they'll just sell them micro packages, so they'll have like Premiere, After Effects, and that kind of bundled together. But like for students like us, we need all of it. We need Illustrator. We need all this stuff. It's like it's really just hurting the sort of like I guess industry as like a whole, because like you need to buy this whole entire package, or you got to buy little micro things and like kind of micro pay everything. It kind of sucks.
Bitch and a half. I'm always a fan of buy once and you're done.
Yeah,
makes my life so much easier, but. If they need to make money, they need to make money. But, I mean, I used to use TV Paint, which is this French program for animation. The French, they know. And it's a good program if you want to do traditional animation. It's a solid network. It's a solid, software. It does, like, but it's a pay once and you're done. It's like $1,000.
Yeah, I'll say, but a lot of times, like when you think about it, it's an investment, and a lot of times these people who are actually buying this are large companies, and like they have the money to like kind of shell out for like this kind of like multi-key that pays off, because like when you look at the prices like for something, so you buy multiple keys at once for like schools and stuff,
right?
You get a discount because if you buy more of the pot, it's like buying in bulk. You buy more of it, it's a cheaper price because as the cost goes up, the price per roll goes down, or price per whatever item goes down.
Yeah.
The one animation tool I use is Clip Studio Paint.
Right.
And that's like the more sort of Japanese one where you kind of like have the ability to like, do all these little things like for illustration. It's basically Photoshop and Animate in one.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a lot easier. It just doesn't have the symbols because like I think Adobe has like some sort of copyright over that because that's a very specific like patent of like the way they manage it, because I don't think a lot of things have it. So like what they'll do is that they'll just create animation sheets inside either Photoshop or another program that allows you to import it to After Effects or whatever thing you're using. Another thing is that Clip Studio Paint allows you to export to PSD files, so it allows you to like, okay, if you're working on this, you have this character over here. We're allowing you to export PSD, so you can just import it to After Effects, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's nice. That's sweet. I like that.
Yeah.
Anything, just accessibility is so nice. Just having just less time focusing on stupid shit, that takes up your time, and like with rendering and shit that just you don't want to focus on, rather than just the art itself. It's just that helps so much.
Yeah. I remember that was a big problem with the earlier versions of Adobe Flash was, I think after CS6, before CS6 there was a problem with Flash where if you couldn't export a video if it was too many frames.
Right.
So if it was too many frames, you would have to split it up and cut it into like different scenes and timelines and basically that kind of stuff. Because the Adobe could handle that a lot more better, I guess, in that sort of sense. But like, you couldn't export like one long scene. But usually a lot of times like animations, like you only will work on shots that last for like
a couple seconds.
Couple seconds, yeah.
5, 10
for
seconds.
movement wise, it's not a lot. If for what we call a one shot or a long take, you don't really see a lot of those in animation anymore. You only really see it inside fight scenes, and like even in that, they'll cut different shots of like them fighting in between, so you don't really get the same of like this long take like you might find inside Old Boy or whatever.
Yeah.
But enough of us griping about our financial issues and products.
I'm a failing college student.
College debt.
College debt. No, but yeah, I mean, that's what it is.
You caught up on One Piece, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm always ready to go.
So, this is what, chapter 984?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, so
I believe so.
Basically, we don't see a lot inside this chapter. It's one of those things that I don't like about the pacing inside One Piece is that I really think that a lot of the the Weekly Shonen Jump should be reserved for like newer material, right?
Yeah.
And they should move some of the older material to Jump Plus or the monthly issue of it, which is like fair because I think Spy X Family it's not weekly, it's monthly, or that's inside Jump Plus, which is a different sort of
it is
issue or side printing of a magazine. Because like a lot of times like authors, they have like about a week, maybe week and a half to like get stuff done. Because they're continuously working on things, but they still need to go like through editors and like the whole like bureaucracy of like, okay, you got to do this and this, and like editors do have a fair point, like when talking about their what's get published and what doesn't.
Right,
get published,
they have to keep the author on track.
Yeah,
they want to make sure that they're keeping up a pace and they know where they're going essentially, and that's fair.
Yeah, and it's like it's very hard for like someone by themselves to like say do your work. Because, like, in the real world, it's like, there are many reasons why you do your work. But, like, when you are in college, like, you need someone there to, like, sort of, like, kind of help you, like, manage yourself sometimes.
Yeah, the biggest thing you want to learn in college, and, everyone says this, is time management. I mean, that's... Hey, if you want to go up in the world, you really got to know how to budget your time and know what to do, when. I mean, we've had this talk before. It's just... It's hard, but... You get it eventually. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a life skill that you want to learn early on. If you learn it early on, you'll go far. That's what I'll say.
Definitely. But back to One Piece, though.
Right, yes.
Okay, so...
Yamato, my girl, my G, my love. Not really, but
no.
That's what I
Okay, so basically in this chapter, it's Marco comes back with the Wano person from Whitebeard's crew.
Yes.
And they're here to help Luffy beat Kaido because they're now inside the Oni Island.
Mm-hmm. Onigashima, yeah.
Onigashima, and Kinemon uses his Devil Fruit power to disguise them inside as like the enemy troops. Mm-hmm. But then Luffy just goes on a rampage. Luffy and Zoro go on a rampage, and like they get sort of like beat by a Poop. A kid comes in and kicks the shit out of them.
Yeah.
But after that, like, Luffy meets another, like, more heads of the Kaido crew. Mm. You have the one that turns into, like, a Velociraptor or something like that.
Yeah.
And then...
Yeah. I love the fact that, like, we're getting to the point now that whenever Luffy comes up and meets another, like, weirdo from another hierarchy chain, it's not like he could go toe-to-toe with these guys, and it's, like, and not immediately that he gets, like, beaten up or anything like that. I appreciate that a lot. And it's just like, they're like, oh shit, he's actually really strong.
Yeah, because we're past that point inside, like, the Water 7 arc where it's like, oh, CP9. Yeah. It's like, okay, yeah, they're a new force just because they have better powers, basically.
Exactly, yeah.
But, like, when you get to, like, this, it's like, oh, Luffy like even though like he's kind of a faux Emperor of the Sea, like he is strong in his own right
Yeah,
to like kind of like deal with people who are underneath, like
he can go up against
other sea emperors.
He'll have trouble facing like the second in command, but if it's like the 13th,
then like he'll
either beat him pretty easily or have somewhat of a hard time. Not that big of a deal, honestly, though. But it's just, I always love seeing all the different characters and their development. But yeah, it was great to see what's his face from the Whitebeard crew come back. I was like, yes. What was his name?
Marco?
Well, not Marco. It was the
the Wano guy.
Yeah.
Who looks like a girl, okay? I'll say this.
I'll be honest. Gender, totally out the door in this arc for some fucking reason.
I understand Kaido's daughter's, like, shtick, but it just looks kind of weird for... I forget the name of the character, but I think it's like...
Oh, the daughter of Kaido?
No. The guy on Whitebeard's crew.
Oh.
Because, like, he only appears, like, inside the one small, like, Summit War arc.
Yeah, he shows up, like, a little bit, and that's it.
And that's it, yeah. You
Like,
kind of feel like, oh, this might be important, but it's still an Asian, like, Japanese culture, and he's, like, sort of just Japanese kind of culture, but we also see further in, like, Zoro dressed in that kind of thing, too. So it's kind of like, is he, like, a different island, blah, 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 that kind of stuff.
Is Zoro a weeb? I always wondered
I don't know.
this.
Is Zoro parents from Wano? We don't know.
We'll never get that answer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that important.
Yeah.
Lineage isn't super important in One Piece. It kind of is, but not super. I mean, there's a bit of a theme with it right now with Big Mom and Kaido, because, like, their kids are kind of like, we fucking hate you. But, well, some of them are. Some of them
just fear them and, like, they just don't want to deal with the outbreaks and, like, outbursts of anger they might face. But speaking of lineages, I'll touch that upon them later on. But like back to Yamato though, Jesus, it's like, okay, Oda, you're throwing us in like 20 different directions here. Like choose one and go with it.
It's really like I don't know like what's gonna happen. I always think like, oh, Luffy's just gonna fight Kaido, but then I realize that there's King, Queen, those eight other dudes, and then how the fuck does Yamato fit into this, and how is she going to fight? Like, is she gonna fight with Luffy?
It's like I like how it keeps you on your toes and want to read the next chapter.
It absolutely does.
But it comes to the problem where it's like, okay, big reveal, but there's no payoff though.
We gotta get
it's a cliffhanger.
And then there's also that one other thing that Marco mentioned in the chapter. I think it was like he has to go because there was something coming that he had to take care of. I forget what it was. I forget the exact line it was. Oh, I'm gonna look that up actually.
Yeah,
right
you
now.
look it up.
Marco was like something. He had to leave all of a sudden because of, I don't know. He has to fight all the other people who were trying to get in.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll touch up on my thought earlier is that Oda came out with like this little one shot thing of like the actual like guy who owned the Black Sword, which is like Ryoma. I think.
Yes. Yeah, it was
and
Ryoma.
He shows a lot like of like young Ryoma and his journey.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about that is though, he looks exactly like Zoro without the eye scar. And that's the thing where it's like, okay, you want to relate him to the story and somehow where it's like, oh, yeah, like in a way Ryoma looks at Zoro and is like, oh, you remind me of myself here. You have bested me. Continue my legend.
There's a lot of that in One Piece. Like, even just, like, the biggest example is Goldie Roger and Luffy. I mean, they're literally the exact same person, I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, it's like being reincarnated, I guess, but, like, really?
It's very, very, like, on the nose, especially when it came to the part where, like, Rayleigh was remembering the first time he met Roger, and Roger had the exact same fucking haircut. I was like, okay. But it was cool. I mean,
you know what they never touch on? They never touch on that giant hat inside the Reverie.
Yeah. They haven't touched on that.
They just leave you on a cliffhanger. It's like, yep, we're going to forget that.
It's like, there's so much shit that I'm trying to keep. I'm just remembering that Sabo has been caught by I guess he might have been, I don't know, and then fucking the dragon's working with Blackbeard, and then there's that fucking kid who's like apparently Whitebeard's son, who's still around that hasn't been addressed yet. I don't know what his deal is. I'm like, fuck, bro. What the fuck's going on?
Yeah, this was like so many plot points coming. Like Oda needed to focus on like something there.
It's a
Sound like something. Did you find it?
Okay, yeah. So the I forgot his fucking name. The dog person got his name. Damn it.
Dog bark? No, Dogwood.
Dogwood.
Dogwood? Is it Dogwood?
I don't know.
Okay, Pat, I'm gonna get my phone. I'm gonna Google this stuff. Because there's cat, viper, and dog something.
Nekamushi. Okay, so basically, Nekamushi came in with Aizo. His name's Aizo, by the way.
Okay.
And Marco, when he was asked by the other guys, they're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" He's like, "We can reminisce later." Marco says, and I quote, "We can reminisce later. I just saw a strange shadow in the sea. I'm gonna go check it out." So, I don't know what that means.
Side venture, chapter.
It's either it could be the son of Kai. It could be the son of Whitebeard, maybe coming in out of nowhere.
I don't know. Wait.
Because he was going after Marco. He was going after
all the crew members.
All the Whitebeard crew members.
Yeah.
So and Marco is definitely on the list, which is so fucking weird. Like that character's so out of nowhere.
Yeah, right.
And there's so much shit that's just like it feels so organic and cool, and I love it. But it's just so hard to keep up track of sometimes. Like fucking Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
But it's better. It's so much better. But I will say, like, hopefully they don't fuck up the ending. They probably won't. They definitely won't.
At the end of this arc, it's like Kaido's going to get beaten.
Either Kaido's going to get killed or beaten. Big Mom, I do not know.
Yeah.
She is the one thing that I just like, fuck, I do not know. It's great that she's here. It's a real wild card situation, and it makes sense that she would chase them even after they left.
Yeah.
Because it's like, no, fuck that. You fucked with me, I'm coming after you. And that's kind of cool, but it's just like, what are you going to do with her? You know?
Exactly. It's like, you already sort of like kind of beat her, I guess, but like, did you really beat her?
Yeah. And it's like, I guess you're trying to make that sort of like clash thing with Luffy kind of build it up a little bit. But it's like
you kind of sailed beyond that point from Whole Cake Island and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It's time to move on to little different areas of like villains.
Yeah, plus we've already built up this shit with Kaido, so let's just take care of that first.
Yeah.
And then we'll go on to this, unless something else comes in, another party comes in, which, you know, in One Piece, there'll probably someone else who shows up.
The Luffy Alliance, come on, from Dressrosa.
I hope so. God, I hope so.
God, Jesus.
Fucking Bella, Bartolomeo is just like buried.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so fun. I love his ability is so OP, and it was cool. You know, it was really cool. I love the flashback with Odin, and it was just the guy, the past user of the bear.
Oh, yeah.
That was cool to see. Like, because you always forget that like devil fruit powers are passed on to the next generation.
Yeah, that was like one of the things that was actually retconned pretty like later on.
Yeah.
Inside the series, where it's like in the first book, like Romance Dawn, they literally said like, oh, the gum fruit comes from the gum tree. It only grows like every 1,000 years. But they later on retcon that as like, no, it's just like a little spirit thing where it just goes to the nearest fruit and then pops itself in there and becomes a double fruit.
Shoves itself in there.
Yeah.
Forcefully. No, yeah.
But that's one of the things I could like say, like, yeah, it's been long enough that people won't remember it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I agree with that standpoint. It's like, if you're going to retcon something like that, retcon it like post-time skip that someone probably wouldn't remember.
Yeah. Remember when Sanji's dream was to find the All Blue?
Yeah.
Bet everyone forgot about that. Remember when Nami was gonna make a map of the world? Bet everyone forgot about that. Remember Nico? What the fuck was Nico Robin's dream?
I want to live.
Oh, that's right. That's true. I want to live.
I would think she would want to uncover the
secret of the poneglyphs, right?
Poneglyph / Dark Age, whatever.
That's right. I remember.
Lost Age, is it Lost Age or Dark Age?
Dark Age, I think.
Dark Age, yeah.
Dark Age, yeah.
Because like, there's like what, 500 years?
There's that, yeah. That's gonna be like the last. Fuck. That's gonna be when we.
That's probably wrapped up by the entire fact, like, oh.
That's gonna be the world government /
Because when you really think about it, because Joy Boy and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. That was supposed to be like one of the major like key pointings, like, oh, Joy Boy is like this kind of super powerful weapon, like Neptune said it was, and like the Shirahoshi's like whatever. It's like she's another ancient weapon. And like even Roger like went to Raftel or whatever, or Laugh-Tale, and like he sealed something away there just because it's probably a weapon that the world government will probably want to get their hands on and use it to destroy stuff.
Oh man. Another cool thing is to see, it's like with all these, like, every time Luffy goes to a new nation, it's like, I can't wait to see when Wano opens up finally, hopefully at the end of this series, because
they're probably gonna do that.
They're probably gonna win, and they're probably, gonna keep moving, and when it does happen, I just want, like, all the princes and princesses Luffy has ever helped out to just be like...
There'd probably be create a world government around that, where all the people who Luffy's help probably would
come together
and start a new one based on the ideals of like a sort of free world kind of thing, where it's like it's not completely lawless, but like it's more of like warlords shouldn't exist, pirate like that kind of stuff.
You don't like crew like CP0 and CP9 would probably change a whole bunch. Either they would have gotten rid of I will say they will probably get rid of the warlord idea. Because the warlord idea
was like, some of the main problems caused inside of.
I mean, like, just for example, Crocodile, Doflamingo, it's just and Gecko Moria. Like, all of these guys are terrible people. They should never have been given power. And I forgot his name.
No matter how hard you help out the government, like there's still pirates inside the baseline. That's what like Fujitora says. Like there's still pirates at the end of the day.
Yeah, Fujitora like knows what's up, and he. And, like, it's just, like, stuff like that, but also, like, the dark justice thing that Akainu always preaches, like, that's probably going to change.
That's absolute justice, yeah. It's probably... I'm pretty sure he's going to die.
Luffy, I want to see that fight so bad between Luffy and Akainu. That's one of the fights I want to see super bad.
Luffy, I'm pretty sure they're probably going to do, like, a Summit War 2.0 thing where it's like, oh, Sabo and, like, his crew is going to be, like, eliminated or whatever.
I think it might be, like... And this is my theory, I think I told you this before, but I feel like at the end of this arc, either CP0 or Lucci is going to show up out of nowhere and just either kidnap Luffy or kidnap one of the crewmates.
No, you know what? I think it's going to be Kobe's unit swords.
Yeah.
That's what I think they're going to do, because Drake's already inside Wano and stuff. Mm-hmm. They already mentioned, like, oh yeah, he's a double spy. So, yeah, there's that. I think that's what's going to happen.
Wasn't Kobe going to fight Boa? I think... Didn't they say that they're gonna they eliminated the warlord system, and then Kobe was the one who went after Boa, which, by the way, good fucking luck.
Impel Down 2.0 release the warlords.
Yeah. Yeah, like they're ever gonna catch Mihawk, and like they're ever gonna catch Boa. I mean, like I doubt that's gonna be what happens, but you never know. I mean, maybe, I don't know, but yeah, what I'm wondering right now is probably my biggest question: where is that kid that Whitebeard was talking about, or like that supposed Whitebeard kid is? And then another thing, I guess, would be a interesting thing to think about is how why does Luffy hearing the voices of the sea monsters,
the Sea
Kings, matter so much?
I think because it's just like it's one of those protagonist powers.
Mm-hmm. You gotta have that spirit.
Yeah, but besides that, let's take out the topic of One Piece. Let's move on to like other things. Do you know what the God of High School is?
I do. I have read it.
So the anime came out. Mm-hmm. I'm like, some of these people don't look like high schoolers. There's a criminal. There's like there's just like two old guys. There's a kid with a tracksuit reading a book with a metal bat. These people don't look like they're in high school. And like I question the author's ability to tell like who's a high schooler and who's not.
I will say this about Webtoon. They have amazing illustrators, some pretty good writers, but the people who work on the title or come up with the titles, they need to be fucking fired, because a lot of these...
I'm pretty sure a lot of the times they'll just create a title and they're like, it sounds cool. Because a lot of times they're Korean artists and like English sounds cool to them. But when you look at it though, like the God of High School, you really think it'd be about high school kids. Like the main protagonists look high school-ish.
God is involved. I will say gods are definitely involved.
Yeah, because like spoiler, I guess, because like doesn't God like imbue like whatever is like Shinjin's hand with like whatever power?
The whole thing is that he mega spoilers, like big spoilers. Stop listening now, but basically the main character is basically Sun Wukong, essentially. That's literally like his whole shtick is that he's Sun Wukong.
He's the Monkey King reborn, basically. Yeah,
and his eventually like I will say like the story like becomes fucking ridiculous at one point. It even has like all the gods from like known religion, like Greek gods, Norse gods,
Jesus.
Jesus, I think does actually show up.
But you can't show Muhammad.
No, you cannot. Buddha shows up, and he fights all of them, and it's like the coolest shit. But it just like this has nothing to do with high school.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's like the author probably wanted to take it in one direction, while a couple other people say like, no, you should go inside this direction, which is like, and probably like an editor standpoint, but like a lot of times I think that comic just blew up naturally.
Yeah. I think,
so it really didn't have like that person to like say, yeah, this and this works well, this doesn't, so you might want to change that,
Right. Yeah, and I will say it's a fucking awesome comic. I think the illustration and the action to it is amazing, and I definitely think it warrants an adaptation. It's just
no, it is. Yeah, it's already adapted.
No, I'm just saying it definitely did warrant that. I'm just hoping for a fucking You ever read a Hardcore Leveling Warrior by any chance?
Yeah, a lot of people were commenting underneath the Crunchyroll Twitter account. Was like, you should do hardcore leveling or like killing stalking. I was like, yeah, it makes sense for them to like go after that one, but then you have to like do this whole spiel of contract signing, blah blah blah, finding a studio. It's one of those things like people just take for granted. Of like, there's a lot of planning that takes place.
A lot.
Because a lot of times, what they want to do is that they want to find the right studio, to cast actors, cast all these people and stuff, right?
Right.
But people think like, oh, it's coming out every other week, so it must be instant, right? No, like a lot of this stuff is like already backed up in the works. They probably worked on it like the season before, recorded everything, finished up everything by the first episode, and then they're slowly working their way up the ladder.
Right.
So I think there's only like 12 episodes, I think. Probably 12 or 24.
That's
it's either or.
Yeah, that's good.
But like I think they're in the right direction of like, oh, this is like probably the next big thing of being like anime slash like animation wise, because a lot of the action is like very well animated, but like it sets a tone very early on of like what it wants to be. It's like this sort of like comedy slash action.
Yeah.
Inside like the Tower of God, though, it tried to be very serious in the beginning, but then try to cram these comedy parts in that just didn't fit.
I think that's a problem with the original source material. Is that for Tower of God, it's a very interesting series in a way that it's got a lot of cool like
moments,
cool characters, but a lot of it's mixed because you'll have a lot of moments that are like kind of cool concepts, like they'll be riding on a crazy train and they'll be going up this tower, which I don't even know how the fucking structure of the tower works. It's so confusing to me. But it's just you're there for the ride. Say, fuck it, whatever. Bam's cool, I guess. Kinda. But, it's it's mixed. Sometimes you'll get cool characters, sometimes you'll get cool arcs, other times you'll just get really boring shit that you don't want to see and you sit through it. And some stuff that makes kind of sense, other stuff that just makes no sense and will throw in shit. And it's kind of the things with webtoons. Like, you'll get some really good stuff, but sometimes, a lot of times, it's, like, underdeveloped or half-baked stuff that just doesn't work, and, like, it needs more time to go mull over.
So you need to think through of certain things, like, saying, hey, like, it's one of those things where it's, like, it's your income, yeah, but if the supporters really would like to support it, then they would understand maybe 3 weeks, I would say, maximum for a comic, because you don't have to figure out motions and lines and all that. You just got to figure out like, okay, formatting, and it's a webcomic too, so it's in that really weird format of like, here's a panel in the top left corner, here's a panel in the bottom right corner, and these two connect somehow. I'm like, okay, that's what I talked about this last time. Like, that's my gripe about like formatting, because as like a designer slash like formatter, like in my own stuff, like the formatting for certain things don't make sense. But I can see how it appeals to some foreign audience,
right? But
not really towards me, because a lot of the times, like, you can see the clear similarities between Japanese comic books and American comic books, because they're dictated by these panels.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of the people, like, that's what a lot of things you should look out for is, like, okay, how are they formatting, and, like, try to understand the art, rather than, like, okay, here's, like, some sort of, like, weird story or whatever. Because at the end of the day, a lot of this stuff is just art.
It's just beautiful drawings. And what I find very interesting about manga or comics themselves is like people use like different sort of panels, like different styles, and like you can go pretty crazy with like how you want to draw your comic, and even using the panels to some degree. Like I remember like recently I've been reading Soul Eater,
Yeah, again.
So, yeah.
Because we watched that last Saturday.
It's so good. I love it so much. But they get to the part where I'm in the part where they're in the spoilers. They're in the Ebion book or whatever.
Book of Avon, and they meet
Avon.
like table contents and stuff.
Yeah. And so it's I passed the part where they where it was Sol and Maka were in the I think it's
bedroom.
Yes, and it was in the sloth chapter.
Yeah, sloth.
And the panels. What they did was really cool at the end. They didn't do it for the whole chapter because that would be really fucking annoying. But what they did was they had a nice little end bit where it was like they're in the sloth, right? So the panels are like half finished.
Yeah.
And so like
there's a little gimmick to it.
Yeah, it's a little cute gimmick to show like that everything's kind of slow here, everything's kind of simmered down, and I like that stuff. Just the sort of like little visual cues like that are really nice. And what I find interesting also, I find a lot of things interesting, but. Manhwa, or Korean manga or comics, whatever.
Yeah, Korean comics.
They sort of focus. They realize that a lot of the comics that they'll be producing are actually going to be viewed through a phone.
Through the phone. That's because like a lot of times
how that's structured is that like Solo Leveling, which is another big one. I don't know what happened to it. It kind of stopped production, but whatever. They have the way they drew it and the way they formatted it. Was to show like they'll have, instead of it being like this wide panel thing, it'll be scroll down and like it'll show the character going to emotion, and then it'll be suited for a phone. And so when you translate it to show, it could be a little tricky because you gotta like kind of reinterpret it.
And like a lot of times when I saw in Manhwa, it's like they don't like to put backgrounds in
they don't.
A lot of the action parts.
Solid color in the back.
It's just solid, either solid white, gray, or that kind of stuff. Like, the only time I actually see backgrounds is in, like, the smaller panels, because that's more manageable.
Yeah.
And I kind of find that, like, okay, yeah, like, you want to focus on the action, but then it kind of looks a little bland if you don't have, like, a proper, like, little gradient on the floor or, like, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and, like, you need that sort of setting to keep you, we said this before last time, but, setting fucking matters. I mean, I want to know where I am. I want to know where the characters are in relation to like their journey. I want to see the progression. But you could get rid of that stuff if it's a close-up shot, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I don't want them walking in space.
Yeah.
That makes it really boring. And like
unless they are in space by like technical means, like okay, they're in like a large white room. Like then say that at least.
Yeah.
Then,
they're not in an insane asylum. They're going on a magical venture. At least that's what they think they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. Maybe they are in an insane asylum. I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, like, it depends. Like, if it's an action-adventure series, I would really like it if they draw more setting. But if it's, like, a drama or a comedy series, that's not as big of an issue.
The one thing I really respect about dramas, though, is that they tend to focus a lot on the eyes and, like, the mouths and the face a lot, which is fine.
Yeah. Because
that's what you would want to do generally inside a drama. So sort of, like, these sort of, like, shadows, like, dark, broody aspects of a drama to show, like, oh... this emotion's this emotion's that, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But when you get to the fact of, like, if it's all just face shots, then it gets a little stale. Yeah. And that's what I think a lot, like, if you try to produce something, you want to make sure that the content's sort of fresh, but it's consistent. Yeah. And that's what I didn't like about the Tower of Gods animation. It's, like, half the time where it's, like, it's trying to fit a joke in, the animation style just, like, randomly changes without warning.
Yeah. It doesn't work. It doesn't fit it. Whereas Soul Eater... that had animation that would go with it. It would go with it really well because the style works. It's a cartoony style. Yeah. Like compared to other anime, it's not as realistic. But at the same time, it can get away with some really funny and great gags that just really enhance the experience and just make it so fucking funny to laugh at.
I also think that's a pretty that's a author kind of thing because it's Atsushi. Yeah, it's like Atsushi Okubo. Mm-hmm. He did this Fire Force. He did Soul Eater. The thing about his stuff is that it's very stylized in a way where it's like it makes sense for like these things to happen. Yeah. And like some jokes to play out.
Very rough edge. Very angular kind of, not as round, but yeah, it works. It works so well. What was I gonna fucking say? Shit.
Python,
Give
Cobra.
it a Tico.
I'll say this though. I really think that his work has aged well for a manga that's like came out in like the 2000s. Even the animation is still pretty good by the standard definitions of today. And like even like some of the times, like okay, I understand a lot of times inside older animation they'll demonstrate slow motion through this weird frame blending.
Yeah.
But now they'll just like kind of just slow everything down, like sort of slower the frame rate and that kind of stuff to like a little bit here, and here, and then as they're like leaning back before they fall. But I really think that his stuff like works really well, stylized. I think David Production's doing a really good job with Fire Force.
Yes.
Can't
give them enough credit.
Yeah, the recent episode was the first episode.
Yeah.
It covered like, I think. It was.
It covered a lot of filler kind of stuff.
Filler stuff. The second half is completely filler. The first half though, it's like just a recap of like what kind of sort of happened of like last season. Because in the first part, it's like okay, they have a day off, which they completely scrapped like literally the first couple pages of each like starting chapter of the season.
Yeah.
Because in the first season, because we immediately get introduced to Shinra. And, like, his quirk of being, like, oh, he smiles very weirdly when he's nervous.
Yeah.
And, like, I think one of the jokes that was cut out from the anime was, a girl falls down and, like, she shows her underwear or whatever. And then he smiles nervously and the guy turns to him and is like, oh, you like that, huh? I was just like, that's a pretty, that's a Okubo joke, but, like... Mm-hmm. That makes sense for this kind of like story. This is what I understand. This is how the pacing's gonna be. Yeah. But once you get to that, it's like okay, it kind of like mixes the sort of like structure around where it's like okay, they're out shopping, at like in this other district or whatever. Uh-huh. Then they'll cut flashback to like oh, here's like the whole entire conversation from the day before.
Right.
Then cut back to the.
Come back to the time.
Yeah, where inside like a comic book, you'll usually do that only when it really needs to be happening.
Right.
Because I really think that it could have started off like him kind of like Shinra being like, oh, it's my first day off. Like it's been so long since like there's been sort of this calmness. You know, what should I do? And then introduce that kind of thing where they go clothes shopping for the lieutenant or whatever.
Yeah, it's a much more like just straightforward because you can't have. Because eventually, if you have too many backflash, you lose track.
You get to
you have the Naruto effect when you'll have a backflash and a backflash and a backflash and a
flashback.
Backflash. No, flashback and a flashback, and it becomes way too much to handle, and you're just kind of like Jesus. But then it helps to. I mean, not to say flashbacks are bad or anything. It's just don't be too over reliant on that. But in a manga, it's just they're very much you just like move on to the next thing because there's no like visual transition.
If anything, you can have some flashbacks, but it's got to be very brief and short to like give context. That's what a flashback does.
Yeah,
it initially gives context to the viewer of like what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. It just kind of fills you in on what had happened or what will happen in the future.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's very fun. It's fun if you do it right. This could be fun.
Yeah, it could be interesting. Like a lot of times, like flashbacks are sort of used inside those literary devices, like to fake out the reader / like protagonist,
or like hint towards the future.
Yeah, it's like is this real or is it fake? Blah blah blah, kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of times with like dreams and stuff, they'll use that as like a literary device to
just like quick flashes.
Yeah, quick flash of like brief moments in time to like show like oh this is interesting. What's going on over here?
I feel like a flashback. In its best form, I would say, is something to show like something we haven't seen yet. Like if it's something we already seen, then you don't really know. You really could just put that first before that. Yeah.
But like one thing that I didn't like the Sonic movie was the entire like film was the flashback. It's like okay, the record scratch. Let's throw that in reverse to the beginning and then get to that point in the movie where we are.
That's right.
And that's what
How did I end up here?
It's kind of cliche and like it's got that attitude towards it, but like I expect it from this kind of thing where it's like it's a buddy cop movie.
Yeah, it's not really going at anything crazy. I mean, it takes tropes from like 50 different things and throws it in. So it's not it's gonna be a fun kids movie. Yeah. So it's not just danger.
It's fine.
But yeah, I mean. I feel like flashbacks are fine. They're good use of storytelling to a degree. I used to hate them. I'll be honest with you. I used to hate them a fuck ton. But then, sorry my language. But then I got used to it, and I could understand the like how useful they were.
Yeah.
But
because like when I did my adaptation project for like Gilgamesh and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you have to include a flashback and stuff. I was like, oh, I'll just be really meta about it and like just include it inside the beginning where we just like, okay, here's Enkidu's death. Spoilers, I guess, but like, but that's literally this oldest story to man. It's literally the tale of Gilgamesh. Boop. It's like, okay, Enkidu's dead. You don't know who he is, but like it foreshadows his events coming.
Yeah. Tale as old as time, Enkidu is dead. Sucks to be him, but here we are.
I'll say that though. I think Fate is probably one of my favorite series out of any anime.
I fucking know. I know.
Because I enjoy it as like, because like some of the plot lines are kind of convoluted. Like if you play the video game, the Fate Grand Order on mobile, literally all the side stories are like anime as fuck.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you'll come to the point of understanding, like, yeah, this is like a throwaway, basically. It's like a OVA kind of thing, where it's like, okay, you have all these different servants, blah, blah, blah. Here's how they fit into, like, this little, like, niche little, like, kind of anime episode over here. And here's, like, it's summer, you're abandoned on an empty island with 3 other female servants. There you go. Harem plot ensues. It's Halloween. Cleopatra's pyramid crashes through the castle of Vlad the Impaler, Dracula. And I'm just like, okay, calm down, dude. You're explaining so much. But then it doesn't stop there. There's more. Oda Nobunaga's a girl, and she has mini versions of her. And
I'm just like, a regular Tuesday to me.
But, like, a lot of the story, like, if you actually read through the story, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
But you just gotta get past that sort of, like, anime-ish plot points.
Anime's biggest enemy is anime.
It's itself. It's its own, like,
when it tries to show complex and adult themes, it can kind of be lost when someone shows their cleavage for, like, the 5th time.
Yeah.
And that's, like, the problem I always had with Fairy Tail was that there was too much fan service. Like, they would just get in the way.
Yeah, also it's like, I was on Twitter the other day and it's like, oh, they were like, and like, Crunchyroll announcements like, no, it was on Reddit. Sorry, it was Reddit. And like the Fire Force is like subreddit, right? It's like r/Fire Force, and it's basically someone was like, was saying, don't stop watching the anime. It's good. If you worry about Tamaki, then you have your own personal problems with that,
right?
Because like she gets a lot better in the second part, in the second season.
Yeah,
I guarantee if you keep watching, she's not just a cutaway joke for the sex appeal or fan service. Even like the certain parts of like when like fan service, it's not enough to like warrant her to be like that. It's like a lot of times it's just her goofing up and like falling on someone. Yeah. There might be a loose article of clothing here and there, but that's pretty much it. Because like the only times that actually happens is like, okay, when she basically accidentally strips it by accident when helping out the 7th Company 7 rebuilding their rebuilding the first part when they go to Asakusa.
Yeah.
But after that though, it's like, okay, what else is there? So they have the one joke inside the Nether where it's like Iris and Tamaki are facing off off against like the doppelganger, and like the doppelganger has a really deep voice, and it's like, oh no, she's the fake, and like Iris has the very difficult time of like saying like, no, you're the fake, and that kind of stuff. But I'm just like, okay, that's just her being an airhead, which is fine because they all fit in some sort of archetype. But then like the second time in the Nether, it's like when they're facing against like the Archer sort of character.
Yeah.
Where it's not Archer in the sense of like it's Emiya. Like it looks like Emiya Archer from Fate Stay Night.
Yeah.
Because like he gets his ass handed to him by Iris and Tamaki.
Yeah.
Because like he gets like, because like they're evangelists. They're basically like pretty much all like just church people. They're all very like astute like
priests
things. And like it's pretty much going to be like, oh, he hasn't seen like a naked woman before, so it's like it's like okay, it's perfectly natural for him to have this like feeling.
Yeah,
But then Naruto just comes in with a lead pipe, smacks him, beats him, and like it's like comedic, but like it's kind of horrifying. Like, oh shit, there's actually a consequence like his action.
Yeah.
Like,
it's there's a time and place for comedy. It's like well, if I were to give a good example of it, I guess maybe Star Wars again, bringing it back, baby.
Which
But,
one? The sequels?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you gotta know when and where to insert it. I would say like if we're going to the final act and say character A, B, and C are great friends, and character B was viciously murdered by villain A or villain whatever, and character C is just making jokes about character B in front of character A.
Exactly.
And
who went to the traumatization of like
who went the
seeing that
dramatization
death.
of it all, and they're just making fun of the situation. It's like that's not thematically accurate.
Yeah, it's
and
not consistent.
appropriate. Yeah, and it's
The
like
one, I think the one thing that you want to find inside good media is a consistency of narrative
yes,
and storytelling and themes. Because without those things, the story will literally fall apart at will.
yeah.
Because I think one of the things... what was that movie?
I think a good narrative consistency before you come up with that would be One Punch Man is another good one, because it knows what it is. It knows what it is. It knows what it, like the punchline is every time. So it knows that it's to build up the bad guy, build up as much as possible. But we know at the end of the day,
Exactly.
it always ends by Saitama, and we know. I mean, the whole point is to just always It almost feels like we have to forget about him for most of the time.
Yeah, like half the time inside this newest arc is like you're really focusing on like the other heroes besides him.
Yeah.
Because like it's like the dazzling Flash guy with the sword and like Saitama running through the underbelly of the monster's lair.
They're just chilling out. They're just like
they're literally chilling out with a guy with one eyeball, and it's like, okay, I see that happening, and like I dig it. But then you just focus on like Tornado's part. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah, no, she's like getting fucked.
Yeah, it's like literally when you come back to like the human realm, it's like you realize there are limits, and like these heroes can't surpass these limits in this amount of time. They need more help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's just seeing the S class finally like have difficulty
Actually being S-class heroes.
Yeah, it's like we finally reached like holy shit. Okay, we're getting there. All right, and like the newest chapter is so fucking nuts. It's so good.
I really think a lot of these chapters end a little too early.
Yeah, some of them are like 100 pages. Other ones are just like 20, and I'm like, that's
what I really think. That's what I like about manga is that okay, I'll buy it when the volume comes out because I could binge like the 5 chapters that are inside, and that's like, and that's why like a lot of things where it's like binging first came out inside books, right?
Yeah.
Before we binged TV shows because the media was already there and ready, available. Because you would wait. Because like a lot back in the day, like you would wait to buy the manga because we didn't have Amazon or anything like that. We usually went to a bookstore. Like Barnes and Nobles had a very limited selection of like manga and unclassified underneath graphic novels. The main things you probably get there: Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and that was it. You would not find anything else that was interesting other than other like little graphic novels there.
Right. And it's just fun. It's a good series to read. What was I gonna say? Shit. You could also say that having a binge culture is kind of it's good. It's fine.
It's good for a consumer standpoint, but bad for a market/production standpoint.
Yeah. And I find it interesting. I actually find it more investing if it's a week by week instead of just a full binge. Because if it's a full binge thing, then I just kind of get I kind of get a little discouraged because then I have to realize I have to sit for 5 hours at a time, like because I want to watch the next episode.
Yeah.
But then it's just like
because you want to
start that journey.
You want to watch every single episode because it's like it's animation / like whatever, it's TV. Because you don't want to skip through because like if you skip through you're going to miss certain things.
Yeah.
And then like but with manga though like it's like what 10 like each chapter. Okay, I'm going through Assassination Classroom right now. Chapter 1 lasts... Another great thing is just like... It lasts about like 15... Barely 15 pages.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay. 15 pages it would take you like what? If you read like a decent speed...
It's like...
It's...
15 minutes.
Barely.
Barely
a minute a page. Because like the pictures are so large and stuff. It's like, you're barely going to be barely reading like... a lot,
Yeah.
It's not like a normal book where you might read like a minute or two per page. It's gonna be like, okay, this page will most likely take you 30 seconds to halfway digest what's going on, and maybe a full minute to kind of fully digest that fact.
To really look at everything again. And I like to do that sometimes when it comes, like, for, like, manga panels. Especially, like, when it's an action stuff, I like to check out every little detail. But, you know, when I'm in a rush or at work or something, and I'm just kind of quickly reading it, I just kind of like, cool, done, got it.
Move on. Let's go. On.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, it's good like that. And I think it's a good thing to mention that someone who's really good at making a nice flow in a manga or comic, it is really well appreciated. Just being
flow or pacing. Because flow meaning like it flows well from panel to panel.
Yeah.
Pacing. Okay, so you're talking about flow. Okay.
Yeah. That's what I mean, well, also pacing too. Just being able to keep the reader going at a nice steady pace and just not have to be bogged down by like, what the fuck did he just say? You know, like having, because that's another thing is like, true, there isn't as much literature in like manga than there are books because it's a visual medium / written medium. But you know, if you bog down, if you have too much of, well, if you have, I'm sorry, just kind of.
No, you're good.
When it comes, it depends on when you're doing it. You can have a lot of dialogue and a lot of written text on the page when it comes to talking or quieter moments. But when it comes to the more action-packed and fast-paced moving stuff, you really want to limit those text bubbles, and you really want to limit how much the characters say and when, because it'll break up the pace and it'll break up, you know, how much, like, because if you're really reading, going into it, and you see the characters like punching each other,
then you get to the Hunter x Hunter issue where it's just a panel of text.
Exactly, and then they start talking about their ideals, and I'm like, that's cool, but hey, weren't you punching that guy in the stomach so hard you sent him through a building? Can you do that again, please? I'd really like it, and I'm just like, I'm eating popcorn, I'm like, please do that again.
And I really think that a lot of fights that do well are fights that can talk while show.
Yes.
Because a lot of times, like, inside certain things, like, it's not really Dragon Ball. Naruto has a lot of like fights where they talk and fight a lot. It's not the stale, kind of like stand, point, you destroyed my village, I will end you. It's like, no, Naruto's talking. He's like, why do you feel this way? Why do you hate the Leaf Village so much, Sasuke?
Fuck, dude. Every time, like, for the the last arc, I was just out of it. I could not give a shit about what they were saying at that point. I was literally just skimming it. I was skimming it for any point, like, eventually, like, when the emotional moment where it's like, you know, where there's like that last, like, that page where it's just a full, like, the only person's face and it's like one little, like, word they say, they're always like, yeah. I'm like, what are we saying yeah about? What are we agreeing to? I kind of skipped it over. Let me go back a bit, and then I fall asleep reading it. I'm like, fuck, this is so.
Because you're reading at 12 at night, and it's almost 1 a.m.
And I'm like, cool, everything worked out. I'm glad that worked out so well. Great, so excited, and then move on. And then we have Deku who's like, I will protect everybody. And then I'm like, yeah.
The newest chapter for My Hero is not that great. I'm gonna correct myself right here. It's great, but like, it's not what you want to like kind of read. It's one of those things where it's like you might want to stop for like a good 3 weeks, then pick up the last 3 chapters.
Mm-hmm. And I really like where it's going. I like where they're heading towards in the story. I really don't know what's gonna happen.
Exactly, because they already have like this kind of thing where like, oh, there's more powers to unlock, but you got this big bad right now.
Yeah.
Time skip. Like, what are they gonna do? Time skip? Or are they like?
I honestly don't. I have no idea where this is gonna fucking go. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm waiting for the hammer to fall because it hasn't fallen really yet. I mean,
if anything, All Might goes full force one last time to deal Shigaraki, but dies in the end.
Yeah, that's what you usually think. I know a lot of people thought All Might would die when.
Well, he was facing All for One.
Yeah, but he didn't, and so it's just like this. Like, okay, well, we don't have the emotional investment of the mentor character dying, so now we're just kind of like fiddling around a bit, and you kind of need that in the story a bit because it gets you invested. But
especially in this kind of thing where there is such a strong mentor / student bond like Naruto, where it's like when Jiraiya died, it's like, oh shit, they're fucked. Like, how's Naruto feeling? And they even say that inside the anime. It's like, oh, when Lord Jiraiya dies, like, oh, did anyone tell Naruto yet? How's he doing? Like, they worry about him. Like,
Yeah.
that's probably what's going to happen here. They're just going to pull, like, a Lord Jiraiya and, like, All Might's going to die.
Either All Might or Eraserhead might die.
No, Eraserhead still needs to live, because I think Eraserhead's going to pick up the torch and be like, this is how a hero's supposed to act, no matter how, like, hard life gets.
Fair enough, yeah.
Because I think the whole after this like sort of arc of like the League of Villains coming back, it's like, okay, All Might dies, Deku gets really sad, Aizawa is there to pick him up. Aizawa and Bakugo in the same guy is there to pick him up. Aizawa learns the true hidden
meaning
fact.
of Christmas. I don't know.
The true fact about Deku's powers, and
Right.
then he helps him from there. Because like, as from an understanding point, he knows a lot more about loss than I guess All Might would as a personal level.
Yeah.
Because like, he lost a lot of friends in the Line of Duty, while All Might kind of like he lost his mentor.
Yeah. He lost his mentor and he lost...
But he still had Gran Torino to work
Right,
with, blah 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 kind of stuff. But like, I really kind of, I don't want to say this, but I really do think that All Might will come back and die.
Yeah.
By Shigaraki, forcing this hand of like this more tension between Deku and Shigaraki to like say, you killed my mentor, prepare to die.
I would disagree with you in the sense that he knows that he can't go there right now because he can't do anything, and he knows that if he does go there, he'd be endangering everybody and like putting his life in danger. So I think he won't.
But that's what a hero does, Charlie.
But you know, I mean, if you can't do anything, stay out of the fucking way, I guess. I mean, I'm just saying, the girl is more useful than he is at the moment. The child, Mary, whatever fucking
Eri.
Eri, yeah, Eri's more fucking. She's actually OP as shit. But you know, it's like I don't think he's gonna go there at the moment. I think either Shigaraki is gonna find him later. Yeah, that would be more reasonable to me, because, like, for one thing, you know, because one is what the fuck he's gonna do, and two, I feel like this is a more important moment for what was his name, Shoto's dad, Endeavor. I feel like this is more important for Endeavor as a moment, because like a huge part of this past arc has been focused on Endeavor as a character.
That is true.
And a lot of this has been his change, his like rise as a hero, and his like
now that he's got to number one, what does that mean now without anyone supporting him?
His progression as a father, and how he became like a much better person, and how he's going to make the ultimate sacrifice in order to stop this guy. And
oh god, I really hope Endeavor doesn't die.
I know, but it's just like, fuck, bro. I don't know. I really don't want Deku to lose his power. I mean, there will probably, I guarantee you, there'll be a moment where Shigaraki gets like Eraser's gonna lose it. Like he won't be able to keep it up forever.
Yeah.
And then Shiraki's gonna go for the grab, and then like Deku's gonna be like, "Fuck you, power of friendship, bitch," and then like slap him away or something. I don't know. Maybe one for all.
Unlock a new power.
Yeah. Maybe it's because like it can. Oh, you know what it might be? Maybe it's because it's like it only belongs, because remember, it's only passed down to those that are worthy. I think that might do something with it, but I don't know.
Oh, you know what? They fucking mentioned this, but All Might's mentor, her power was flight, so I'm pretty sure he's probably going to lock this one to fly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, flying. I honestly, I don't like. If I was given a choice of any ability,
Super strength,
yeah,
or fly.
I would take. I mean, I would even super strength. I mean, like, I guess I would take super strength other than flight, because flying is cool, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, I can fly.
Dude,
so,
I would love Fat Gum's power, honestly.
Honestly.
Because like, you eat so much and then you just get large, and you can expend that energy outwards. Yeah, that's fine.
Having the ability to eat stuff and just not get
store
fat,
that energy.
I would love that. It's like one of my favorite, because I'm a fatty. I'm a fat fatty. I'm not really fat, but I love eating. Yeah. So that's why.
I think one of my favorite panels is like from the manga is like Fat Gum just like eating a lot of food while he's running, just because I think it's like during the Yakuza arc, after he expends that energy protecting Red Riot.
Yeah, Red Riot.
I forgot his real name.
I know, dude. It's so hard to
it's not like
Griffith. No, I don't know his name.
Yeah, so he has to eat a lot to like kind of like do that, which makes sense. It seems like the Flash kind of power. It's like he has to eat to like keep up his metabolism, or he'll pass out.
Right. Oh my god, that's so funny.
Yeah. I think we're going for a bit, so it was an hour, yeah.
We'll close on this.
We'll close off on here.
We'll close on this one last thing I want to say.
Okay.
In terms of story, I think My Hero has done a lot of cool things new, and like have definitely been interesting to me. But eventually, the hammer has to fall at some point, and there has to be a moment. The fall of in the story, because you can't have that. You can't have the resurrection without it.
Yeah.
And
the hero's journey.
The hero's journey, and you see that in anime all the time. Like you see it for one biggest example, Goku, and during the Frieza arc, Krillin dies. He's used up every technique he knows. Everything he's done, like he's been through so much, he doesn't know what to do, and he's just consumed by anger, and he wants to protect his friends, and then bam, Super Saiyan. You know?
Yeah, even like the Bleach anime did that, where it's like the last season of the anime was literally Ichigo loses his powers. He gets extremely sad and disheartened, but he tries to get that back.
Yeah,
and that's what kind of spawns his resurrection. At the end, he gets his full powers back, and then he defeats Ginzhou.
Exactly.
Or not Ginzhou, or whatever the other substitute soldier was.
And then it's just you need it to happen. You need the fall, and I feel like a good series that really kind of illustrate. Well, I feel like another really
good series that knows his characters and
yeah.
hero's journey will do that.
Yes.
I think that's what you're trying to say.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I'm watching My Hero and I'm loving My Hero, but I need that. I need that to get me invested. And so far, it's been great, and I love seeing these characters, but I need to progress at some point.
I need to feel sadness to be happy.
I need to feel sadness to get the rise, to get, because you need it up and down. It's up and down always, like a roller coaster, So that's what I think, at least. I don't know.
On that depressing note, we'll see you guys
yeah.
next time. All right.